All right, guys, so today's gonna be a fun one. Today, we're gonna figure out if the brand new 2026 Honda Prelude is worth that $43,000 price tag it has, and then how does it stack up against some of the makes and models that are already out there in the world? So let's hop on in. So let's start off by talking about what's underneath the hood of the Honda Prelude. So I'm gonna pull you on in. You're looking at a 2-liter engine. This is a 2-motor system. It is a hybrid. It's putting out 200 horsepower. That's running to an eCVT and then out to front-wheel drive. So I wanna do a couple things for you. The first is I wanna throw a comparison up so you can see how does the 200 horsepower coming out of this 2-liter 2-motor system stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. While that's up, I'll just remind you a couple things. If you moved over to a Civic Hybrid, also a 2-liter 2-motor system putting out 200 horsepower. Now, the other thing to consider when you're talking about horsepower is going to be torque. This vehicle puts out 232 foot-pounds of torque. So I'm going to throw something up on the screen so you can see how does that stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. While that's up, throw a couple Hondas at you. If you were looking at, let's say, a Civic Si, you'd be looking at 192 feet-pounds of torque. Or if you move to that Type R, you'd be looking at 310. So because it is a hybrid, they're indicative of having more torque than the standard vehicles. All right, guys, so I'm down on the ground for a couple reasons. The first is I wanted to give you an opportunity to check out that 19-inch alloy wheel. Of all the years that I've been looking at Hondas, and even the years that I sold them, this is honestly probably one of the best looking wheels I can say I've seen. Now, the second part to this is I want to talk to you about MPGs. So this car gets 46 in the city and 41 on the highway. So combined, you're looking at roughly 44 miles per gallon. So I want to throw something up on the screen so you can see how does that 44 miles per gallon stack up against some of the other makes and models out there in the world. All right, guys, so in the front of this vehicle, you've got 42.3 inches of leg space to work with. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. I'm 6 foot 250. So if I hop in this car, I've got the seat all the way back. I have got almost a foot of extra space to work with when it comes to being inside of this car. So I'm gonna throw something up on the screen so you can see how does the 42.3 inches in this vehicle stack up against other makes and models out in the world. While that's up, I'll just remind you, if you looked at, let's say, a Civic Hybrid, or just a regular Civic, or you went to an Si, or even a Type R, they all offer the same 42.3 inches of legroom. Now, the one thing I will say about this vehicle that differs from, like, let's say a Civic Hybrid is that in the seating, your bolstering is gonna be much tighter. It feels more like a racing seat. It really grips the sides of you. Even as a bigger guy, I fit inside of the seat, so it's just something to keep in mind. So to match the inside to the outside, you'll notice the outside of the car was black. It had blue brake calipers. You've got the black leather interior with the blue trim. Kind of cool because typically when you see like SIs and some of the other cars, it's black to red. So they're throwing this for a little bit of a different loop. So you've got leather here, and then it looks like you've got almost like a suede finish over here. So a nice looking interior that's classy and not too loud. So let's talk about the second row. To call it a second row is kind of a bit of a much because you can notice I can't get my head all the way straight. So as far as headroom, you're not working with a lot here. And I've got this seat pushed all the way back, and you can see, I don't know whose legs are going to fit behind that. Now, compared to some of the other coupes out there, some of them don't even have a second row. So this one does at least have it. But I would say for people, I wouldn't really call this a second row. This is more to put your belongings back here. While we're back here though, I will say that it has 32 inches of leg space in the back of this vehicle. So if I flip this back, you can actually fit a person behind here, but that means you're gonna have to slide the seat pretty far up. So it has space, and I'll throw a comparison up, but let's be honest, I don't think any of these vehicles are gonna be pretty impressive when it comes to the second row or leg space. So before we head to the back of the car to talk about cargo space, I just wanted to point out a couple things. Of course, you can control your door locks. You've got remote start on the vehicle, the normal things. You can pop your hatch, but your door locks actually pop open this guy right here so you can get to your door handle to open it, which is a cool trick if you just want to show it off. But I'll be honest, if I have my keys in my pocket, my hands are full, having to walk up and not being able to push on this to get it unlocked, I have to get out the fob to do this to then open the door. Kind of a bummer. So let's talk about the hatch on this vehicle. So when you come to the back here, all you gotta do is grab pop and you can flip it open. Now, in the back of this thing, you've got 15.1 cubic feet with the seats folded up. While we're back here though, I will point out, of course, you to get carpeted floor mats. That comes standard with the vehicle. And then underneath here in typical Honda fashion, if you're in a hybrid, you do not get a spare tire. So to get to your tire repair kit, all you gotta do is come over here to the side. There's a little panel you can flip down, and this is where you're gonna find your essentially fix-a-flat and your inflator. Now, one of the things that's kind of cool about this vehicle is it's set up a lot like a hatchback. You can flip down your back seats, and then you have additional cargo space. Now, interestingly enough, I didn't initially see any kind of spec for how much space you get if you flip the seats down. So I'll do a little bit of digging, and if I can find it, I'll throw it up on the screen. If not, just know that you do have this capability to take advantage of. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to check out the profile of this vehicle. It's good looking. It's a nice looking little coupe. But while we're here, I want to talk to you about a couple different categories. The first is 0 to 60 times. This car goes from 0 to 60 in roughly 6 seconds. So I'll throw something on the screen so you can see how does that 6 seconds stack up to some of the other makes and models that are out there in the world. Well, it's up, I'll just remind you, if you went to like a Civic Si, you're looking at roughly 6.8 seconds, or if you went to a Civic Type R, putting out that 315 horsepower, you're looking at 5.3 seconds. Related to 0 to 60 times, let's talk about curb weight. Light of the car, typically the faster and quicker it can go. The Prelude has a curb weight of roughly 3,400 pounds. So I'm also going to throw a comparison so you can see how do other makes and models stack up against that. While that's up, I'll just remind you once again, if you're looking at an Si, you're roughly at 2,900 pounds. And if you're at that Civic Type R, you're at about 3,100 pounds. I want to talk to you about the gas tank. This has a 12.4 gallon gas tank. So I want to throw some comparisons of CC. How does that stack up against some of the other makes and models out there in the world? Well, it's up, I'll just remind you, doesn't matter if you're in a Civic, Civic Si, the Prelude, or the Type R, all a 12.4 gallon tank. The difference really becomes when you're looking at something like this, it's a hybrid, your range is much bigger. Speaking of range, you have roughly 540 miles of range in this vehicle. Pretty good. I'll also throw a comparison to see how does that stack up against some of the other makes and models out there in the world. Now, related to range in a couple of these categories, you have to understand that this vehicle is a hybrid and some of these other vehicles aren't. So I understand that some of the comparisons are somewhat unfair, but that's where this car kind of gets interesting because it doesn't quite fit into certain categories to compare it to other vehicles. All right, guys, so we're back here on the ground, but I wanted to do two things. One, I wanted to give you an opportunity to check out the front face of this vehicle. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. You like it? You don't like it? Does it look goofy? You tell me. I like some of the cool trim things that they're doing with the blue. Nice. But while we're here, I want to talk to you about ground clearance. This car has 5.3 inches of ground clearance. That may matter to you, depending on where you live and what the roads are like. Sometimes having ground clearance matters. So I want to throw a comparison so you can see how does this stack up against other makes and models out there in the world. While that's up, I'll just remind you of a couple things. If you moved over to the Civic Si, you'd be looking roughly 6.7 inches of ground clearance, or if you went to a Type R, you'd be dropping down to 4.8 inches. So let's talk about the steering wheel and then, of course, the cluster behind you. So on the steering wheel, it's not overrun with buttons. It's very indicative of some of the other Hondas out there. I like that. I don't like a ton of buttons. You will see it has paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. Now, on your left side, you can see when I flip this, it's going to flip up here. It's a full digital 10.2 inch display over there. This is typical media like your audio, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, Google, all those things are going to be on this side. When you flip to the other side, this is going to be more maintenance. This is going to be seat belts. This is going to be more vehicle, right? Now, a new meter that you'll see in this, the G meter, kind of cool. You don't see that in your typical Civics or anything like that. So understand full digital display back there, and the steering wheel, pretty easy to use. Now, while we're here, I just want to talk to you about a couple features that this vehicle does offer. So, of course, you do have your power flow mode. You can see this same screen here or over in your 9-inch touchscreen. And that's just going to show you what style you're driving in, whether it's hybrid, whether it's gasoline, whether it's purely electric. So kind of cool. If you're not familiar with hybrids, kind of a cool way to see it. Gauge display, of course, you can turn things on and off, no content. And then safety support. That's the one I want to touch on. So if I jump into safety support, I want to talk about the features that come standard on this car. The first one is road departure mitigation. If you're not familiar with that, what it is it uses a camera up by the rearview mirror to detect the lines on the road. If the car starts to drift off to the shoulder of the road, it can give you an audible alert and actually vibrate the wheel to say, hey, wake up, pay attention. The next one that it offers is going to be the blind spot information system. At this point, I think we all know what that is. There's an indicator in your mirror. If somebody's in your blind spot, it'll light up. If you start to get over, it can give you an audible alert to let you know, hey, there is someone there. Please don't hit them. Next feature is going to be, of course, low-speed braking. If you are backing up in a parking lot or going forward, the car can actually apply the brakes to help prevent you from backing up into someone or another car. Cool feature. Below that, parking sensors kind of plays a role, right? You've got parking sensors off the front and the back of the car. If it's looking like you're backing up, you'll be able to get that audible over that beep, 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 letting you know the indication that you're getting closer. The next one is going to be collision mitigation braking. So if I'm driving down the road and a car in front of me slams on the brakes and I don't recognize it quickly enough, the car can give me an audible alert, flash in the dash, and then actually apply the brakes to help prevent me from rear-ending that car. Now, there are two more features that I want to talk about, and they are on the right side of the steering wheel. The first is going to be adaptive cruise control. If I get up to the speed that I want to set my cruise for, I'd go ahead and set this. When I set it, you're going to see the same indicator appear up there on the screen. Now, the next part that you're going to do is select how much distance it keeps between you and cars in front of you. So as you select this, you'll see boxes appear up there. The more boxes, the more space it's going to keep between you and the car in front of you. Now, what that means is if I'm going 65 miles an hour and the car in front of me slows down to 55, it will keep that designated spacing that I pick. And then when I got from around them, it'll take me back up to my speed. And if you want to flip over to like a classic cruise control, no big deal. Just hold down that button until you hear the beep and it'll flip to classic cruise, or hold it again and it'll flip back. Now, the next one is lane keep assist. So the same button, if I press this, you'll see that indicator come on up in the dash. What it's using is that camera up behind the rearview mirror to detect the lines in the road. Same like road departure mitigation. So let's pretend I'm in the center lane of a highway and I'm starting to drift a little bit to the left or the right because I got distracted. It can actually correct for me and keep me centered in the lane by detecting those lines on the road and keep me centered in them. So let's talk about the touchscreen. So inside of this vehicle, you're getting a 9-inch touchscreen. So I'm going to throw some of them on the screen so you can see what does that look like? How does that stack up against some of the other makes and models out there in the world? While that's up, I'll just remind you, if you were in a Civic Hybrid, a Civic Si, or a Civic Type R, all have 9-inch touchscreens. Now, the second piece I want to talk about related to this is, of course, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So I'm using a wireless connection inside of this vehicle that is available to you. So I'll throw something up to let you know how those other makes and models stack up related to having wired versus a wireless connection. Down below the screen, you of course do get a wireless phone charger to take advantage of. I'll throw comparisons so you can see what other vehicles offer a wireless phone charger or do not offer a wireless phone charger. Now, when it comes to the touchscreen, I just want to give you a quick rundown of what the vehicle has to offer. This looks a lot like your top-end Civic, so it's going to be very similar if you've seen a review on that. You get Google Maps, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. Those are both wireless. You get Alexa and Google Assistant. Alexa, you find in a lot of other cars. Google Assistant, you don't typically. The Play Store, but don't get too excited. It really limits you on what you can download. It's only a few apps. Vehicle settings, this is going to be things like door lock controls, driver assist system setup, adding and removing some of the meter setups, and just how the vehicle reacts with you. If you go over to your general settings, this is like equalizer, screen brightness, things like that. And then profile for, of course, key 1 and key 2, you can affect some of those settings. Now, power flow, this is what I talked about earlier. It exists behind the steering wheel, but you can also view it here to see what mode you're driving the vehicle in. Any of Honda's hybrids offers this menu screen. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of educational if you don't know much about hybrids. Bluetooth audio, you can, of course, connect up to, I believe, 6 devices. Trip computer, USB, you could plug in a USB full of a bunch of music and be able to listen to it. Doesn't really apply to most people, but if you happen to live somewhere where you don't get good cell reception, like in the mountains, this can sometimes matter. System updates, car updates over Wi-Fi. So just know that all you got to do is get your car connected to Wi-Fi. It could be a hotspot or your house, and you can get that connection running to update the software on the car. Wi-Fi hotspot, typically Honda offers, I believe, 90 days for free. And then after that, it's with AT&T. And I want to say it's roughly 12 to 15 bucks a month. I'll throw something up on the screen just to let you know. Clock and wallpaper, general things, apps, just a couple things you can add and remove, like calculators and basic stuff. Display, brightness and darkness. Honda Link, if you're not familiar with it, everybody gets one free feature on Honda Link on every Honda. And that's in the event of a car wreck. If you have a phone connected via Bluetooth, they can call you. This is if the car has the airbags deployed. They can call you. If you don't answer, they can provide EMS, year, make, model, color of car, and last location to help find you, right, in case you got knocked out or something like that. So that's 100% free. Now, understand, if you go to Honda Link's webpage, I'll throw it up on the screen. I can't remember what it is. There are several subscription-based features you can take advantage of. Some of them you get trials to. Things like being able to control the door locks from your phone, or being able to start the car from your phone, or having a concierge servicer. There's all kinds of different things you can take advantage of depending on what vehicle you're in related to Hondas, and then what trim you're in as well. So for my more tech-forward people, I wanted to show this to you. So you're going to notice that this is not Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. This looks like an entirely different operating system. But what's cool about this is if I jump into the apps, you're going to notice that I have things like the Play Store where I can download any app I want. And I've already got some cool ones on here, like I've got YouTube and YouTube TV, and I've got Spotify and Prime Video. I've got Facebook. I've got Netflix. Like I've got VLC. I can put Instagram. I can put anything that I want on this. Now, how am I doing that? I'm using a box. It is this box right here. It's a CPC 200T box. You plug this box into your USB like you would if it was wired CarPlay. You then provide the box data. Now, I use my phone as a hotspot to provide it data. That then allows you to go in there to the Play Store and download any app that you want. Now, once you've done that, that's where you can take advantage of things like your streaming services. Whether you're driving, whether you're sitting still, you could come here and say, hey, I want to watch a show, be able to jump into it and be able to watch that show. Super cool if you're taking like a long road trip. The second piece that I really like about this box is if I jump into something like Spotify. Now, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto offer Spotify, but what I like about this, it gives me the full version. A couple things. One, I can type in a search, regardless of I'm sitting still or driving. Sometimes I drive the windows down and I talk fast and kind of slower. It doesn't always pick up what I'm saying with the voice command. So I like the ability to be able to type something in. When I get into a profile, the other thing that I really like about this is it gives me the full version of the app, not like the cut up, watered down version that you get for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You get the version that you would on your phone or on your laptop. And that's for every app. If it's something you're interested in, I'll throw my link in the description of this video. I'm an affiliate. I've reviewed a bunch of their boxes. I use them in all of my cars. I just think they're super helpful and they're actually pretty affordable. So I'll throw something up on the screen so you can get a feel for what the price is, and if you use my coupon code, how that will save you money and what that will put you at. If you want to take advantage, do so. If not, no big deal. Use Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So should you buy the 2026 Honda Prelude? It's an interesting question because it doesn't stack up quite how I would like it to. Because if you're a typical classic sports coupe driver, you probably want 2 doors, you probably want rear-wheel drive, and you probably want a stick shift. This doesn't offer 2 of those 3 items. If you're looking at a Civic or a Civic Hybrid, maybe you don't want 4 doors, you want 2 doors, or maybe you don't want a stick shift because the Si and the Type R only come in a stick shift. For this vehicle, they're saying, hey, maybe you want a hybrid vehicle that has some get up and go that's actually nice looking, right? This is a good option. And I don't know that there's a lot of those out there in the market. Now, I think the argument that most people are gonna make, but yeah, it'd be great if it had a stick shift. I don't disagree. I love old Hondas from the late 90s, early 2000s. Them have fun, drive. You're not going super duper fast, but it's fun to drive. And I think for the people that want that, I don't know if you're gonna get that out of this car or not. You'd have to get behind the wheel and just see what you think. So before I get out of here, I got a couple favors to ask you. 1, I hope you press the like button because you like the way I present the content. 2, leave a comment. What did you think? Did I hit all the comparisons that you wanted to know? Did I compare it against the cars that you would like to see this vehicle compared against? I would love to know because on this one, I was a little stumped on exactly how to attack it. 3, I hope you subscribe to the channel so when I produce content like this, you'll receive it. And then 4, I hope you'll share the video so that your friends can check this out if they're thinking about buying a coupe or thinking about buying a Honda or just want to know more about the Prelude, or maybe they want to know about things like this, the CPC 200T box from Carlin Kit. So like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Later, guys!